Hello and welcome to a small tutorial. I got a request to do a quick tutorial in Fusion 360 to show how to make a bullet train and specifically the Shanghai Maglev train in a request. So I'm gonna do that and show how to make the body, and it will be kind of a non-edited short and messy tutorial, so bear with me, but hopefully we can get something out of it. And what I do if I'm gonna do a model, first I try to search for a 3 view of some kind. And we actually have some small views here, but I think they are a little bit too small to be actually useful. Maybe we can use this one. And we have the shape here. I'm gonna see if I can use it. It's kind of ironic because I didn't find a single 3 view of this except that one. Because if you search for basically any airplane, like a Boeing 777 or something, and you click for pictures, you get a ton of 3 views and drawings. But for some reason, for this particular train, there's almost none, so we're gonna have to improvise a bit, but that's no problem. So now we have two pictures, and I took screenshots of them, and I'm on a Mac, so it's Shift Command 4, and you can mark whatever you want to take a screenshot of. So let's jump into Fusion 360 and make a quick and dirty model of this. So what I will do first, it's important to the wrong one, to create components. It's a really big mistake I did in many of my early projects, that I started to draw a lot of things and make a lot of a lot of features and stuff, and then it became just a big mess of the whole project. So be sure to start making components. So we'll just call this main body. And normally, just a little tip here, if you were to do this as a functional model, because I'm obsessed with functions, so basically everything I do is supposed to work. So what I would do for a maglev like this, I can show just real quickly. I would define a radius for the track, and as this is a maglev train, it can't turn really sharp, because that's gonna make it look ugly, or the track will have to be super narrow. So let's make it 1.2 meter diameter of a turn. I think that's acceptable for a bit larger model. And from that, I click C for circle. I apologize for that. I use these quick commands a lot, so I'm just clicking them without thinking about it. And C again. And I'll make 3 lines here. One is the center line, and one for the inner edge of the track. And let's just play around with some numbers here. And see what looks good. Imagine this is 1.5 meter. So this would probably be a good thickness or width of the track. So, and now press R, or you can just press here a 2-point rectangle. You could see that highlight when I press the key R. It highlights. And just draw a rectangle here. don't care about the measurements right now, because what we want to do is we want to find out how long and why do we need to do this, or how long can we do the cars if we want a certain width and still be able to turn on the track. So what we need to look for is that we have enough room here and here in the edges so that it can turn. Then you have to solve, of course, the mechanics. And if I were to do this, I would probably put 2 wheels here and 2 wheels here on the side. That's one way. Or you can just make edges. We can do edges right now because this is more about the shape than the function. So let's find out what size we have. And then again, I'm pressing keyboard commands here, but I press D for sketch dimension. And then you select 2 lines and you get the dimension. So 275 millimeter long. That sounds really good. And let's see the width, 64. Yeah, 64, why not? So based on this, we have the basic dimensions we can do. And of course we can see right now that we will get quite an ugly opening between the cars, and that's something you're gonna have to live with if you're making a model, because on the full scale you have a really tight fit between the cars because you have a ginormous radius on the track. So the angle between the cars is extremely narrow. So that means that they can put the cars really tight together, and we cannot do that with the model. So so let's see, 275 and 64, and we can save this sketch. That's why I activated the base component here, or the base of the tree, because this is a component I will not, or a sketch that I will not use to make any extrudes or something. I'm just gonna leave it here as a reference. So I will unclick it, so, and I can always go back here and look at it if I need to. I can double click it and see the measurements, and I can try different radiuses or something if I want. It's just a sketchbook, so to speak. So 275 and 64. So let's activate our main body component, and we will insert the screenshots we took. So let's see. Well, let's start with the front, and we have to see where to put it. And if you're unsure of the rotation you have right now, you can look at this box up in the right corner. Now we have the top view, and for this we want the front view. And we will put it in the middle like that. So, and now it's really tiny, and I'm wondering why it's so extremely hard to see. I'm not really sure why. And this is weird. I wonder why it's ended up there and not in the component. Maybe you cannot have them inside components. That might be a reason. But we can activate the base of the tree, and now we can edit the canvas. So what we need to do is we need to calibrate it. And if I remember correctly, we had 64 width. So what you do is after you click calibrate, you click 2 points, and this is a super good tool because you just enter the dimension you want between those points, and it automatically scales the canvas. And then you right click and choose edit canvas, because it's not obvious that it's in the center, or it's most likely not in the center. So what I will do now is I will look for something that I can see in the middle that shows me where the middle of the canvas is. Like you can see this antenna or something up here. I place it in the middle, and then I can use just the vertical arrow, and I can move the canvas only vertical. And as you can see, it's really annoying that it moves in big steps. But if you zoom in, you get a better resolution, and you can of course write something here manually. So let's see, 48.5. I want it in exactly on this line, or as good as we can do it. So yeah, that's gonna be good enough. So um, now an interesting thing now is that for the other canvas, we need something to calibrate it with. So what we need to do now is we need to find out how tall it is, and for that I'm gonna make a new sketch, and I'm gonna use a line to find out from the center here up to the roof, the top of the roof, and it's 47. So let's see, let's place the other canvas, and now you can see when I click the plane before I click insert canvas, then the plane, the face is already selected. Otherwise I would need to first click it, and then I click the button to locate the canvas, and here it is. And it's super tiny, and I want, for some reason, I want the nose of it to be on the left side, so I will flip it horizontally. Now there's no reason to adjust the position before you scale it. It doesn't make any sense. So first we will calibrate it. And this is a really tiny um, picture. So I don't know how much help it's gonna be, but let's see. It wasn't that easy to see that line. I wonder if it is the gray one back here, or if it actually is down here. I think it's the one down there. Let's have a look in the front once again. Yeah, it has to be this one. Let's use that one, so we don't have to measure again. So that will be basically from somewhere around here to here. 47. And the reason why I placed the floor, or what I'm gonna call it, in the center is now I know it's gonna be here. So when I edit and move the canvas, I can move it like this. And also we actually had a length, if you remember, in our first sketch. So let's jump into the first sketch and check 275. So let's hide that sketch. 275. So what we want to do is we want to place this canvas so that we have the nose section in the right place, because we don't care about the shape back here. It's just linear. So what we care about is this rounded shape. So what I will do is I will make a sketch where I can see where it should end. So let's make a line. You click line here or L on the keyboard, and we draw from the center. And if we want to have it perfectly in the center, then you have 275 millimeter length. It will be 137.5. This is, I usually don't care about this, but let's make it right this time. So now we will see this line. And we can once again go edit canvas, and we can move it around. And it's a real low resolution image, this, so it's not gonna help us that much, but a little bit anyway. We can see basically roughly where the window's gonna be, so it will help for sure. So now we have our guides, so we can start sculpting the shape. So let's jump into our main body component, and this is really annoying that it makes the canvas really dim. I'm not sure. Opacity control. Let's see if no, that wasn't possible. Anyway, we can at least see roughly where the edges are. So let's create a form. You can click create form with this button, or you can go here and go into the where is it? Is it not here? Oh, that's weird. That's really weird. I thought it was there. Anyway, click create form then, and I use create a plane. I always start with a plane for these types of shapes. And I click the center plane here, and now it's not important how this surface looks or how you do it. We're gonna change it anyway. Let's just make something like this, and that will end up in bodies. You can see it, and we're gonna move it out to the edge like that. And now the fun begins. We're going to transform this. So the most important button is the edit form. You will use it a lot now. And if we zoom out, we can see that the edges are actually going in a bit. So we will start by doing that a little bit in. And then I will double click the upper one, upper edge here. And now it's an important step. You hold the Alt key, and I'll show you what that does, because if you only pull on something here now, you will pull the edge, but if you hold the Alt key, you will add another face. And we will continue to add faces until we have enough of them so we get the shape. So now I will press Command Z to go back, because at the same time I'm creating new faces, I'm gonna try to follow this really dim line here. So let's hold the Alt key, and we hold this big square, and now I can release the Alt key because I already have the new face. And I just go up a bit and I release it, and then I press the Alt key again, and I click and drag. Now I can release the Alt key, and I repeat. And it's not super important right now how it follows, because we can change it. But the better it is from the start, the less work you're gonna have in the end. So something like that. So It's really tough to see the shape on this one. Maybe if some of you have a good solution for this, you can write in the comments. I would be really thankful. I would like these canvases to be visible in all components. Uh, that would be really nice. Yeah, but this looks pretty good. Um, and now I actually forgot to 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 make a line here to see how far it's gonna go in this direction. But it has a continuous shape there, so I'm not gonna care about that right now. What I will do, I will extend it to this side. Oh, that's what happens if you press only one line. We'll double click, so we select the whole edge here, and we will pull it all the way until the shape starts changing. Now the tricky part begins. Where we're gonna have it follow the shape here. So this is a matter of it's not an exact science. It's sculpting, you know, it's trial and error. Um, so what I will do now is I will mark all except the lowest one. I'm not gonna pull them down. So now you can see that we're creating a curvature, but we're leaving the bottom side unaffected. And now again I'm gonna click all of them, and I'm gonna add another face. Oh, sorry, I did something wrong there. Control Z. This is important. If you hold Alt and you press the big square thing here, you can move around free in all directions. But sometimes it's good not to do that. If we want to keep the lower edge flat here, if we hold the Alt key and we just pull the arrow here, it will preserve the height. It will only extend forward, and it doesn't matter that that it distorts the shape now, because we're gonna change it anyway. So now we're gonna mark the upper ones, and we're gonna pull them down. But now you can see there's some things I would keep an eye of, and this lower line here, I would make it so that it will end in this point. So I'm not going to pull it down too much. So now I will mark a couple more higher up. Now it's really hard to see the shape, but yeah, something like that. And now let's extend once more. And repeat the same process. Now you can see that I don't care too much about the vertical alignment, or the horizontal alignment, I should say, for this vertical line, if we're gonna be really picky. In this way, I mean, I don't care really that much. It's not that important. Now I'm gonna make also this line. I want that line also to point to this point here. So I'm gonna try to. It's really hard when you're just eyeballing like this, but we're gonna go back and we're gonna mess with it more later. So, and you can see now that I do one more selection here, because I want to tighten up the space between these two lines. And of course it's always good to go out and check how it looks. I think it looks good. Yeah. So let's continue in that fashion, and we will go in and we will mess with the details later. And if you want it to look really tight here, you can use this tool. And if you drag it so that you see the digits here get smaller, that means that it gets more in line. So what I do, if I want a line here to be perfectly straight, I just click 0 there and enter. And that makes the line completely symmetrical in that plane. And you can also do it in this direction if you want to. Now we have not done any messing around in that direction, so that's gonna be perfectly aligned. So let's continue. We will mark all of them and we will extend it once more. Now the real tricky part is going to be when we reach the edge here. We're gonna have to do something with all these lines. So, but let's do the same way we did before. And now we can see that it's really hard to eyeball, because I think this point is going to have to be a little further up if we're going to reach this point here. But let's continue.